Hi, and welcome to a Mayanot moment. In our weekly Torah portion, Parshat Tetzaveh, we talk about the clothing that the priests and the high priests wore in order to serve Hashem. One of the interesting pieces of clothing that the high priest had was a tzitz. It was like a golden plate on the forehead that said Kodesh Lashem, holy for Hashem. And Chassidus explains to us what is the deeper significance of that. So Chassidus says that the idea of the forehead is that it basically covers on the brain. In our brain we have our right lobe, our left lobe, and our frontal lobe. Our frontal lobe is what's in charge of our concentration. People with ADHD have a problem with the communication of the other lobes with that frontal lobe. The idea of concentration is in the frontal lobe, and then there's the forehead, which is what covers on the concentration. What does that actually mean? It means that concentration is something that we have while we're involved in something and we're really into the details and we're delving into the innards of that concept. But then it's not always possible to continue remembering all the details and the whole calculation after we have that whole thing, that whole dialogue going on in our brain or with someone else, doesn't matter. We then have a conclusion, a one-liner that basically tells us what is the conclusion of that whole thing. And the same is in our service of Hashem. A person wakes up in the morning, he goes to a class, and then he davens, and he's all into it. But then he comes into his office an hour or two later, he's completely in a different world. He doesn't remember anything the way he felt while he was learning and davening. What is the solution for that? It tells us Chassidus that when you learn and you daven, that's when you're focused, that's when you're concentrated on all the amazing things that you're doing. But be practical. It's not possible to necessarily be focused the same way during the whole day. What you should do is take that learning and davening and transform it into a one-liner, into a conclusion, into what is the consequence of everything that I've learned and davened about this morning. And that is the idea of the tzitz. The tzitz is the idea of the Kohen Gadol saying, okay, I have my brain and I have all the calculations going on in the back of my mind, but what is the outcome? The outcome is Kodesh Lashem. I'm over here in order to serve Hashem. The same is in our lives too. I think it's about time for students of Chassidus to understand that it's not about inspiration. Oh, Rabbi, inspire me, book, inspire me, class, inspire me. It is about being focused. What is my goal in life? And that's why we need to constantly continue learning and growing and so on and so forth. But even the learning and growing, we have to be practical about it. Is it really possible that in the middle of my day of work I should be able to go into that whole long discussion that I had in my Chassidus class? No. But what you could do is take that whole discussion and just put it into a one-liner. What type of life do I have? What type of life do I want to have? What type of disposition will I be in? And that is the idea of having a tzitz. Have a great Shabbos.